Hi ho everybody and welcome back to D Plus Us Weekly, the show where we talk about shows exclusive to Disney Plus, episode by episode, week by week, mostly, for our enjoyment and yours. I'm one of your hosts, Griffin Danell, Grammy D-Pad, and with me as always, the wonderful, the amazing Mr. Mitch George. You look tired.
I am so tired, Griffin. Tired of all of these teases of Muse? Just make it freaking bin.
Hey, we're getting there. We're getting there.
We're
We're
that
gonna
close.
get there. And we're probably gonna get there next episode.
1,000%. 1,000%.
Mm-hmm. Of course, folks, we're talking right now about Daredevil Born Again, episode 4, Sic Semper Systema, which I want to have a whole conversation even just about the title of this episode, because goddamn, it's good. But before we jump into that, of course, folks, this is D Plus Weekly. This is a spoiler-driven show where we talk about shows that are typically on Disney Plus as they're coming out. Of course, we are breaking down the episode, full spoilers, chatting about it, having a good time. So this is absolutely a show where if you haven't seen the newest episode, you got to go watch that and then come back and hang out with us. This is going to be full spoilers when I'm done with the rigmarole. But before that, of course, a couple of reminders. First off, YouTube. If you're listening on podcast services, go check out the YouTube. You can see the hand gestures that we make and the random things we do that I totally say like I'm addressing the listeners directly. As Mitch strokes
My
his
beard
beard.
is goofy. Come see it.
But also on the YouTube, you can check out our latest insane, I might add, video essay where I attempt to recreate a game from the theme parks in my previous apartment.
There's a reason it's a previous apartment. You'll have to watch the video to find out why.
Or I could say it now because I'm putting it at the beginning of most episodes at the moment.
No, don't do that. Don't do it. Hide it. Illusion.
Like, we don't still have, I think, one more episode coming out that we recorded when I was in the ultimate. But as a note, folks, bear with us as we keep going here for a little bit. I'm still in the process of moving and more like moving in and unpacking and whatnot. And Mitch has a kid. Really, that's all you need there for the we're busy as hell at the moment.
It is what it is. We're making it work. We're going to talk about Spidey Man at some point. We're going to do... I think now is the perfect time, especially as we go through Daredevil, to do an episode on Idiocracy.
Yeah, we should really do that sooner rather than...
Should really do that. And I might have a guest for us who's never seen the movie, so...
We also talked about doing Office Space, which we very much need to do.
We do, but I do think Idiocracy is probably more... I mean, they're both, like, kind of perfect.
Yeah. But also, I feel really weird doing those back-to-back, because it's like...
Yeah, we need to spread those out for sure.
You get it, folks, if you've seen both movies, like, you understand.
You know our dilemma at this point, yeah.
But with those out of the way, yeah, go check those out, as well as the regular show, where we talk mostly about movies, but it's really about anything Disney. I'm sure we'll get some parks episodes here soon once I start going to those parks.
I hate you.
And sending Mitch many pictures.
Yeah, but then I just get to remind you that you're in Florida. So, who's really winning there?
Disney bubble.
You don't live in the Disney bubble. You still have to deal with Florida as a thing. Not yet, I don't. Are you going to start to try to hide and live in the parks overnight with animatronics coming to life and trying to kill you?
God,
probably.
So horrifying.
I know. I'm just going Kingdom Keepers. Come on. Deep cuts.
Great series.
I got the second one on audiobook right now. I got to start listening to that.
Mm-hmm. With that said, folks, we're going to jump into Daredevil's episode 4. Like I said, full spoilers. Sic Semper Systema. Our return finally of Frank Castle. But also,
thus always to the system.
Fantastic condemning of the prison system and the justice system in America.
I was going to say, I feel like it's less about the justice system, and this is more just foreshadowing Fisk's fall, or the democracy's fall. And it's, again, very eerie how close this is to what is happening in the United States of America right now.
I mean,
how's that education department going, Griffin?
Oh, it's going fantastic. You're not going to tell me, though, that Leroy's monologue was not just detailing why the prison system in the U.S. sucks?
Oh, my God. It was so good. I felt so, it was so horrifically poignant.
Mm-hmm. And it was so good. Especially seeing, it was so interesting going back and forth of, Matt definitively doing a good job being his lawyer. of like, this is genuinely the best I'm going to get for you, and then him laying out like, yeah, you did the best you probably could do.
The
It's
best
still
just isn't
not
good enough.
enough.
Yeah.
Not in this broken system, which is such a perfect mirror to where Matt is at with his personal system of being not, or in this situation, not being Daredevil, that Frank just, for all intents and purposes, puts 3 bullet holes through and says, this is dumb. Like, the name of this episode being Six Semper Systema. So good for, folks who are not currently brushed up on their Latin. Um, it's roughly translating to thus always to the system. It's kind of a play off of Six Semper Tyrannus.
Thus always to the thus always to the tyrants. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very Orwellian in nature, and it's very, very poignant for. Again, I'm having a weird year, Griffin, because like I started the year with a newborn, then decided to read 1984 for the first time. Now we're talking about Office Space and Idiocracy at some point, and this, my brain is just fried
It's one
right
of those things
now.
where it's like I keep being shocked by this series for really accepting and talking about these things. Like when we talked about Andor way back when, which God, I'm excited to talk about season 2.
Oh boy, to go from this to that is going to be, yeah, it's going to be a thing.
People say? Sorry.
No, you're right there.
I'm wrong.
Not in the slightest.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like we talked about it there, and I'll talk about it again. I'm very surprised that Disney was willing to let them talk about these topics. They do such a really, I think, a very good job of explaining these things, and they aren't revolutionary about these ideas in any way, shape, or form. But I think that this is really explaining this stuff to people who have never really thought about this before.
Yeah, and I think this was the perfect time to bring in Frank Castle because he is everything that Matt would be if he went a step too far, and he went a step too far. And we didn't talk about this on the last episode that we did, and we probably should have. I don't care if you have a reinforced spine. If you are thrown 4 stories off a building and land on your head, you are dead, like dead, right? Like Bullseye should not have survived that fall, but he did, and we moved past it. But in doing that, Matt crossed a line that he said he would never cross.
Yeah, there's
right?
Daredevil, not one of the more recent Daredevil runs. I forget the actual year, but it was 20 something. I want to say 2019 has this great run where Daredevil does kill someone. And the most of the series is Matt dealing with that.
Yeah, and that's pretty much what we're getting here to an extent, right?
And to the point, though, that he stops being like this, where he stops being Daredevil because he killed someone because he can't handle that responsibility, and he gets pulled back into it, unshockingly because it's Daredevil by Elektra. But it's him dealing with that, and like him and his friends dealing with that, and him and the cops, and all of that. And it's Chip Zdarsky, who I think is one of our best current comic writers. The dude is a visionary when it comes to this stuff. I highly recommend this Daredevil run. Also, one of the best depictions of Spider-Man in a comic book. Because for some reason, everyone knows how to write Spider-Man, except for the writers of Spider-Man.
I'm still so disappointed with the whole Sony thing. Like, he is the perfect character. Like, if it's not going to be Elektra, the person to pull Matt out of this funk is Spider-Man.
Yeah, I mean, where Daredevil is currently set up, he doesn't really have anyone to pull him out. Like, the Defenders are there, sure, but
there's one person that can do it, and it's Karen.
And even
like,
then,
she's done some terrible things, and the only person that has that weight, I think, in his life is Karen Page.
And even then, Karen is in no place to pull him out of that right now. Like,
we don't know where she's gonna be by episode 7 or 8 when she has to actually do it, right?
Well, yeah, but also she ran to the other side of the country, and like,
True.
Either way, I really love this story where this is at, the depiction of everything. I was shocked to see the corrupt cop come back into this episode. And for us, it seems like that's a continuous storyline that we're going to be getting here with that guy.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like he's going to be involved with the anti-vigilante task force or with the murder of like he passed Matt's lie detector test in this, right? His heart rate did not change when he was interrogating him. But
But then he just
there's
casually
still
threatens him anyway.
I was gonna say there's still more to that, and it'll be interesting to see where that goes. I would actually love like I say, you know, he's going to be involved with the anti-vigilante task force in some way. I would love that by the end of this season, he's like the only guy. Like I know he done some muddy things, but he's like the only guy that Matt can trust on the force, as opposed to being someone that he knows is going to be a foil. I think that would be a great way to subvert the audience's expectations. I just don't like they're not setting that up
See,
in any way
I
right
am
now.
of the opinion where I don't want them to do that because also I very frankly, a corrupt cop is not the person to bring back around for
No,
a special. Just in general.
with this, well, and also with the story that they're trying to tell, like the cops are not good, and
Also, frankly, we already have that character in Cherry.
yeah,
Him
yeah,
being
that's
the
true.
being the ex cop.
Yeah. Well, we also get that like heart wrenching scene here with I think it's um White Tiger's what niece,
His niece, yeah, Ava.
where she's just like, you know, the cops aren't going to do anything. Like the cops
Or
aren't there to protect
Angela,
us.
sorry. Angela Del Toro.
Yeah, and it's just like she's so right, and she shouldn't need to be at such a young age. And it just again, it adds weight to this story of the corrupt system and everything that they're trying to tell here, which
I saw a great thing on social
really
media
gives me the
about that,
heebie-jeebies, honestly.
with Ava or Angela. Sorry, Ava from freaking Ultimate Spider-Man. It's going to ruin me. I'm sorry for that.
Ava being his younger sister that takes on the mantle, I
Yes,
believe,
and
right?
this is
Yeah.
Angela, his niece, who also takes on the. Ugh, too many characters. But it said this hilarious thing on Twitter, which I really need to get off of. But
The best thing I've done.
it was I'm such a terrible comics have turned me into such a terrible human being, because here's this child going through losing her uncle, talking about how the cops are a deeply broken system, and my brain going is like, ooh, there's the next white tiger.
See, my brain was going, that child should be in school. Get your priorities straight, Griffin. God damn.
Again, her uncle is dead. Her being in school was the last of my thoughts. But we have a few other different storylines in this episode as well. Like we've talked the Matt side through of this, where like the Matt side of this I think is the best part of this. But the Fisk side of this is amazing as well.
Yeah.
Especially of like Daniel Blake fucking up and talking
Yeah.
to BB, where it's like, of course, if you blab to a reporter, they're gonna write
gonna
an
report.
article. Dumbass.
I mean, he wasn't thinking with his head.
Oh God, no.
I mean, he was thinking with a head, but not the one you think.
No, I'm pretty sure we all are thinking of the right one there.
Yeah, I know.
It was interesting seeing that and like them kind of giving us the bait and switch of, oh, maybe Fisk is turning over a new leaf. No, in fact, he's just the same old he's ever been. He just has to be better at hiding it. I felt some vindication on this one. I'm not gonna lie. Of our previous conversation of, is this Fisk? Is this Kingpin? And me saying no, they're the same person. They're still the same person. He's still horribly evil.
Well, they're the same person, but like what I was saying when we were having that conversation is Fisk is the mask, right? The Mayor Fisk is the disguise, and Kingpin is who he truly is deep down inside. And we get that in that last scene with him in his dungeon eating his dinner in front of his wife's lover that she thinks has left, which in her mind he's dead, right?
Oh yeah, she has assumed that Wilson killed her.
But if you look at these trailers for this show, there is a scene of her and Fisk eating at that table. So like she's just as messed up as Fisk is. And we're gonna see more and more in that as this show continues. Yeah.
She's as evil, if not more so, than Fisk. Like, and I love that about her.
She embraces it. He tries to suppress it, but there's no suppressing the evil that Kingpin is.
At the same time, you still very much feel their love. Like
Yeah.
she has that line when Heather asks if she feels safe in the relationship of like, he is capable of many things, but hurting me is not one of them. It's like such an amazing line.
Yeah, she knows what's up.
I I am very curious to see the like where this goes with that particular storyline because like that's clearly going to be right like this straw that breaks the camel's back that fully sends Fisk back into Kingpin mode.
Yeah.
But I'm
I'm
wondering if we've reached
also
that point of he just doesn't care to hide it anymore, or if he is still being that strategic. We're gonna play this as the mayor, but no, it's very clear I'm still Kingpin.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think it's going to be about hiding it any longer. I think what it's going to be is he's going to recognize, quote unquote, in his demented mind, that what the city needs is Kingpin. What it needs is the end of vigilantism. And what it needs is law and order, but by force as opposed to by law. And I think we're going to see this very interesting. I want to see the point at which Punisher becomes Punisher as well, right? Here he's Frank. He has that conversation with Matt. It's really, really good. Really, really, really good. But like there's going to be something that brings him back into the game, right? And I think what that's going to be is Muse. So we've had the teases throughout with the artwork, and now we get our first couple of glimpses at the character
Hmm.
in this episode.
Yeah, of him
But like
draining the blood out of victims to make his art.
exactly. And I do think there's going to be some like because I feel like in some strange way he feels like Muse is going to be painted as a vigilante, and that
Oh,
pun was
absolutely.
unintended, but it works. Um, I do think there's going to be something that happens between Muse and the police specifically, and because of the Punisher motif that they have branded themselves with, I think Frank's going to get blamed for it, and that's what's going to bring him into this conflict.
I mean,
I
for
think
all
that's a
intents and
really great
purposes,
way to
like
bring him back.
Muse as a character is for all intents and purposes an anti-hero, except for the
Yeah.
fact that they go so far and kill innocents that puts them over that line to being
Yeah.
full villain. Um, Muse, I think, is a fantastic one for this show because Muse is very, very public.
Well, I think
For
as
two
well as if
characters who
Muse,
are very, very private.
well, I think as well with Muse, it's going to be interesting to see how that character comes to head with the police force and how that might lead to the anti-vigilante task force for the comics, because like it's
Well, so in
we
comics,
look at Muse, oh, terrible, hurting innocents, like draining blood for art, whatever. But like once he's targeting the police, it's it's not as gray as Frank, and it's definitely not as far as Bullseye, but like it's somewhere in the middle there where we're gonna kind of agree to an extent just because of how corrupt this police force has
also
become,
mark
right?
my words, I think that this is going to be one that they pull directly from the comics.
Yeah, I do too.
Um, the kind of thing that really sets things off for Muse to bring things back around, right? Is that Muse slaughters a bunch of cops who
That's
try to take
exactly
him
where they're
out
going here. Yeah,
while he's doing a mural of Frank. And
yeah.
then Fisk takes that event, says that Punisher killed them, and uses that to start the anti-vigilante task force.
Which is basically
So,
exactly what I said.
like, it has happened. Like that,
Yeah,
those
I know. And
events are
I
so
think they're going to
already
do that
happening.
same thing. I think they're going to do that same thing beat for beat, and it's going to hit just because of the current political climate in which this show is releasing.
Yeah, but also the way that that they're telling this story is just. I think this would hit no matter what.
Oh, for sure. Also, just quick shout out to the Matt Cave,
Yeah, which is
because like all those cowls were cool.
the Matt Cave, which is
Yeah.
essentially just a storage closet on a roof.
Yeah, but like
All the cowls.
he I miss like I've loved the courtroom drama and all of that thus far. Like we got 5 episodes left. Let's get some Daredevil going, please.
I'll be
It's
honest
kind of
with
my
you,
like my
I
one
would have
ask.
been perfectly happy if there was no Daredevil in this and was all Matt.
See,
The way that they've been
it,
going with Matt's storyline has been so interesting to me that have not needed the superhero. I'm happy we're getting the superhero, but
yeah, like my thing with Matt and the way that his story intersects with Fisk is Matt is to Daredevil what Fisk is to Kingpin, and that Matt is the mask, and who he really is this backroom brawler that just wants to fight people and do it with a smile because it makes him feel good.
See, I disagree
And he
on
doesn't
that
want to
one.
admit that to himself, which we get in that conversation with Frank, but like, you can't have this without him embracing what being Daredevil means to him and what it means for the city.
See, I agree to a point, but I think Matt, the difference, the thing that puts him over Fisk, right, is Fisk is Kingpin, and he hides that for the world. Matt is Matt, and Daredevil is a part of that.
See,
He
I
is
feel like
very
it's
much both, and
see,
because he's not Batman, he does not do the Batman thing, and I think that's very, and I have to be very clear on that one because Daredevil is very often compared to Batman in that regard,
yeah,
where it's like, no, what makes Matt special about this is that he has attachments, that he can be Matt, that he does good as Matt, and
yeah.
also does good as Daredevil, and also is Daredevil. He can
See,
be two things. Both things can be true.
yeah. I mean, the thing that I see with Daredevil as a character and the dichotomy of Matt and Daredevil is that I know we don't like drawing the comparisons to Batman, but like he is, but there are pieces of Matt that survive the trauma that he's been through his life that have influenced the person that Daredevil is. So it's not that
That's
he's
the
just
only superhero ever.
no, but I mean like he is Daredevil, right? He's not Matt. Matt is that persona that he puts on for the public. Like Daredevil is who he is. But everything that he's been through, his upbringing, the Catholic beliefs, it influences the way Daredevil is. But he like Daredevil is still who he is.
See,
And if
I don't
Daredevil
think that.
didn't have Matt, he would be Fisk, right? Or he would be Kingpin.
See,
Like
I don't know. I think again, yeah, you're right on that on the last part there, but I do think it's very much a. I don't think Daredevil is his core personality. I don't think Matt. I don't think there is a core personality between Matt and Daredevil with this character. I do think he is both always, and I think that is what makes him unique amongst a lot of the superheroes we have at the moment. Where you have characters like, pick any of the core original team of Avengers, and it's no, they are always that persona all the time. You have some other characters here where like Spidey, like Miss Marvel, where they have they're doing the secret identity thing, and that's
yeah.
interesting in its own right. Matt is doing the secret identity thing, but there is no longer at this point a grasping of who is who. I think there is for a long time with Daredevil, and that is very much something that is played with in the original Daredevil series, which is now officially canon. Hell yeah. Sorry, they
Canon-esque
finally updated the MCU
MCU
timeline on
timeline,
Disney Plus to include the Netflix
the
shows.
Defenders.
So,
I thought they did that a few months ago.
but it's like everything's in there now.
Yeah, but it has been for a while, I
I
thought.
just noticed it now. It might have been.
Okay, fair enough.
Um, but yeah, for me, like we are past that. It isn't a never-ending struggle for Matt. Matt, I think, struggles with the ramifications of vigilantism,
Yeah.
not with the identity part of this. Like, and I think this is one that's very up to interpretation. But I just love it so much. It's good no matter what. It's damn good TV.
You know what's weird? The MCU timeline order on Disney Plus puts Punisher between Black Panther and Doctor Strange. Like, why is it so far from the other Defender stuff?
Well,
You've
it is
got
a while
Defenders,
after.
Civil War, Black Widow, Black Panther, then Punisher. It just seems very odd.
It was after a lot of Defender stuff. I feel like.
It's been a long time since I watched it. Maybe I got to rewatch it.
Well,
I never
because also
watched
it's
season
like
2.
completely separated from everything else in the
Yeah.
Defenders. So. Also,
Yeah, I
like
never
I'm
watched
pretty
season
sure
2. Maybe I
there's
should
a,
watch those.
like rebuilding construction stuff, but
Yeah.
I don't know. The Punisher show was a lot for me.
I think I'm gonna do a watch of that because I never did season 2.
Yeah, it's one of those where it's like when I was doing my MCU rewatch, I was doing the Netflix stuff too. But also, I stopped doing that rewatch a while ago because I was starting to get a little burnt out.
Yeah. Like I did Daredevil and the Defenders leading up to this, but I didn't do Punisher.
Yeah,
Maybe I should.
got through Daredevil season 3, for this.
Yeah.
The only things I didn't watch were Punisher season 2 and Jessica Jones season 3.
There was a third season of that show?
There was, yes.
God damn.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing after season 1 of that show
Click.
resonated with me, nor do I acknowledge that it exists.
It's
Because
not bad.
David Tennant is absolutely perfection as the Purple Man, and I don't accept anything else after that because it was all less than his wonderful portrayal of that character. That broken character.
Season 2 is not bad. It's not great, but it's not bad.
But it's not season 1, which is the problem.
Well, it's an entirely different story there.
I know exactly, but season 1 was the best.
It's mostly about Trish.
Yeah.
It actually does some really interesting stuff along mostly the addiction storylines. It's actually pretty good. Highly recommend.
Oh no, it's good, but it's no season 1.
Yeah, I'm just throwing out there for folks that it stands on its own. It's just also not season 1.
Yeah,
it's really hard to beat season 1. That's still probably
find a way to bring Kilgrave back is all I ask.
No.
Why?
That season doesn't.
I just really like David Tennant. Like, give him a different role. I don't really care. I just want David Tennant in more stuff.
I agree with that. But I would tell you, season 1 doesn't keep the weight it has if Purple Man survives.
Oh no, I totally agree with you there.
Anyways, folks, we're gonna wrap up this episode. Go check out Daredevil. We will be back next week for we'll see when we get around to recording next week, because it is a 2-episode drop next week.
No, it isn't. Shut up.
It is a 2-episode drop. Episodes 5 and 6 come out next week.
I'm so tired, Griffin.
Will we be done with
actually this
week?
time? I'm not doing a stick. I'm not doing a shtick this time. Like, I'm actually tired. Yeah.
I just broke this to Mitch live that it's a double episode week next week.
It's not even 9:30, and I want to go to bed. Like,
same, but I also haven't eaten yet.
Yeah, you should probably go eat, and I feel just old.
I'll be really honest with you. I'm still kind of on West Coast time.
Yeah, it does take a while. Like, I feel like when I do West Coast to East Coast, it takes me at least like 3 or 4 days before I start to get a rhythm. But even then, it still takes longer than it should.
Addition of daylight savings time just really screwing things up. But that's a conversation for off camera.
Can we just do away with daylight savings time? Like, it's so stupid.
Some people have.
I know, but like,
really annoying.
We as the province of Ontario have committed to dissolving daylight savings time only when Quebec, New York State, and Ohio all also agree to do it. And it's never going to happen, and it pisses me off.
Anyways, folks, daylight savings time sucks. Go check out our other stuff. We will be back in the next episode. But until then, be good to each other and have a magical day.
I saw an Excelsior license plate today.
That's pretty dope.
Yeah, I mean, New York, it's one of the like novelty plates you can get or whatever. It's one of the options. So like there was a New York plate parked behind me at work today, and it said Excelsior.